All right, we're going to look at one more tutorial for week 2. We just have a look. We're going to look at conditional statements now. And if I just turn on the camera so you can see what we do with conditionals, if you remember from the lecture, is that maybe we have a path in our program that has alternatives, and we want to present those alternatives based on user input or based on some other action in the program. Think of them as forks in the road. And there are different ways to implement conditional expressions in programmatic logic. We sometimes might call these branches. And, you know, they were implemented in Scratch. They're implemented in Python. All programming languages have such. One that we encountered in Scratch is the if statement. And this simply is a conditional that would evaluate, for example, in a Boolean expression. And if it's true, it would run what's in the brackets. In Scratch, that was like the if-then block. And we also have if some Boolean expression is, then we can do what's in the brackets. Else, there could be a default. Let's just look at that, what that might look like in the code here in our sandbox. Now, if we go up and look here, I'm just going to clear my chat. I think this is good size for everybody to see. I've written a little program. It's in tutorials in week 2, so I'm just going to CD down to that. And I should be able to run this. What we can see here is I've included the standard in-out, input-output header. I've created a little program main, returns nothing. Then I've set some values x and y. I've initialized these integers to 5 and 4 respectively, and I'm just going to evaluate if x is less than y, let's print something. Okay, so I'm just going to make this. Then I'm just going to run it. Now this is false. Whoops. Left a little space there. This statement is false the way it's written, but if we just change it so that it's true, save it up, we run it, we get our evaluation. All right, so that's just a simple way of looking at the if statement and an example of it. We can also make chains, so we can do if, do something, else, if, do something, and this is just a change. The else if is just a chain of if and else statements. I may have one of those. Little top tip for a shortcut is Alt-Shift-A will comment out a set of code for you. And here I have an if-else prepared to show you. And so here, if we have an if and an else to demonstrate, and if the first statement is true, we print out one comment, and else we print out the other comment. So I'm just going to save up my program, make it again, run it again. And this one, the first statement, x is less than y, is false, and so we get the else statement for that. So let's just comment this out. And here's the example with several else statements with the else if structure. I'm just going to uncomment these. There we go. And this one has a default. where we have an if, an else if, and we have a default else at the bottom. So, to see this operate, what we might do is if x is less than y, maybe we'll set y to the value of 5. And that will be false, false, and then true. So we'll get the default. So I'm just going to save that. I'm going to make this. I'm going to run it. Oops. Why are we I forgot to put a semicolon there. So there's a bug in my program. Wow. A rare bug. There we go. And we get blah. Okay. So I'm just going to comment that out. And, we can do various versions of this. This is a version of where there's an if, and then it ends on an else. We have to be careful when we're building these conditional structures, because if we don't have some kind of resolution that's a default, we can get into trouble and have infinite loops running and cause memory problems. All right, another kind of structure that's very useful, very efficient and fast to be aware of is called the switch. And here where we have several outcomes that we might be looking for, what this program as written does is it initializes an integer with a get int function. We have the get underscore int in the cs50.h library, for example, to prompt a user to put some input. We probably want to give them a little message in there to prompt what we want. Then we'd use the switch function to get the value that's stored in the x and pass that on to the different cases. And here we define the cases as to what we get from the user. Case 1 will print 1, and here we have to use this keyword break in each case, or we'll keep evaluating all the cases. This is what makes the switch very efficient. We mustn't forget that. It's called, some people might call it falling through the different cases. It may be that you want to do that. Maybe there are multiple cases you could evaluate, but usually we don't want to do that. And one of the advantages of switch is that it's very efficient because it only touches a few cases. And then we have a default at the end that's the catch-all, where if in this example, if the user input anything other than a 1, a 2, or a 3, the default would be sorry. Okay, so I have an example of that, I believe, in the code. Like this. I'm just going to uncomment this. And mine prompts the user with a cs50 getInt function, and we're going to get a number. We're going to go ahead and evaluate this. Let's make it. And we're prompted down here at the bottom to enter a number. Let's enter 2, and it should say 2, and it does. Okay, so we can do different versions of this. We can do a version that relies on Boolean expressions. We can change the order of the cases. We can change variations in these conditional phrases, and we just have to practice with them. Some of them are optimized for certain use cases. That takes practice to do. And actually, what we're doing here, we're looking at a code snippet where we have X and we have an expression, and we're evaluating an if-else. And if we look over here, there's a shorthand way to write an if-else using the question mark. So this is a question mark that represents if, and then the alternative is the colon for else. It's just an alternative way to write if-else. You can decide whether you want to formally write it out and take up several lines. It's much more efficient line-wise. It's easier to read as well like this, but you have to know this shorthand syntax. So it's a bit of a trade-off until you get used to it. And really, that's it. If else, if else chains, the switch, and the shorthand with the question mark colon. And that's all I have to say about that.